With the adoption of the M14 service rifle, no provision was made for an M14 sniper rifle, and the designation of sniper in the rifle squad was discontinued. The conflict in Vietnam revived the need for snipers. Snipers became optional, and no table of organisation and equipment authorised sniper organisations. However, units could train and deploy snipers on a limited base depending upon their requirements. As a result, the US Army snipers were trained in country in South Vietnam at divisional level. During the Vietnam War, the US soldiers were issued with the M21 rifle. The Rock Island Arsenal converted 1,435 national match target grade M14s by adding a 3x9 red-filled adjustable ranging telescope and provided national match grade ammunition. The ART scope, designed by 2nd Lieutenant James Leatherwood of the US Army, combined range finding and bullet drop compensation. The innovation came just in time as the US military found itself losing servicemen to Viet Cong snipers, who had the home field advantage in terrain that was, to say the least, difficult. In this video, we're going to be looking at converting a Tokyo Maori Airsoft M14 rifle into a cheap alternative of a XM21. Hope you enjoy the video. So welcome to an episode on making a cheap M14 sniper rifle as used in the Vietnam War. The inspiration for the rifle will be displayed in the following picture. And the base platform used for this conversion is the M14 Tokyo Maori Airsoft rifle. You can see here that I've broken it down into its component parts, which is really simple. So for those that don't have the confidence to break one of these down and you want to see a video of the disassembly, I'm not going to do that, but what I will do is a reassembly, and then you just reverse the process. It really is a very simple process to strip it down, just so you've got the bare stock, as you can see here. Now, all that's left in this stock is the wires that connect the Airsoft motor and battery together, and that's it. Everything else has been completely stripped off the rifle, and as you can see, that's a push fit which comes on the end. These are two Allen headed bolts. I'll get the camera to focus. Here, all you do is unscrew them, and the backing plate here comes off. You've got the magazine that obviously comes loose. These little plastic discs that obviously represent part of the mechanism to hold the internals of the real rifle in place, but they're just glued in with what quite frankly is a rubbish glue, and they just literally just pop out with finger pressure. We've got the butt stock here, which is basically just two flat-headed bolts that connect. One connects to the sling mount and the other one to a metal fitting inside the stock there. And then the trigger guard assembly, which is basically, if you want to take this whole rifle out, all you need to do is pull the trigger guard open like a door, and then that just pops out, and then you can slide this whole assembly out of the rifle. Make sure though that you do disconnect the wire at this point, which connects to this wire in here. Otherwise you'll end up putting strain on the wiring assembly that connects to the battery. And that's it to strip it down. Because this is on the cheap, I'm not going to be spending extortionate amount of money on genuine Vietnam period pieces. So to go with the M14 rifle, I've just got this Maori sight mount that fixes onto the rifle. It's not 100% original, but it's a 2 to 3 foot job. So from 2 to 3 feet away, it looks the part. The scope will be following in due course. So the next phase for me now is to prep the stock in order to apply the paint finish, which will come up next. So I've put the first coat of, I put 2 coats of black plastic primer on the stock of the rifle, which has gone down really nicely. In regards to what primer you use, I used Mr. Surfacer 1500 black primer. I'll put a picture of it up so you can see what I'm talking about. It's designed to go on plastic and it's a hard wearing primer. So this will be the base foundation for the paint scheme. I've done everything on the gun that's plastic. The remainder will remain the steel finish, the blued finish that came with the rifle. The next part of the process is to create the camouflage pattern using green paint. In order to do that, I'm going to use good old-fashioned blue tack, which I will form to the shape of the black camouflage pattern around the stock, and then spray paint the green over the top. It's not going to look perfect, but these were field applied paint schemes. You know, they didn't come from the factory this way. They were applied by the soldier using the rifle, so it wasn't going to be perfect, just enough to do the job. So the next video you should see is the blue tack being applied. So here's the blue tack applied to it. Literally just pulled off strips, rolled them out like a long sausage, and then put them on and pressed it down firmly. The thing I would say is I didn't really like the tail end of the stock, the way that it was finished. So I've not done it 100% like the real thing. And the other thing is I did run out of blue tack, so that bit I can look at it after it's all done and see if it does actually need to be fiddled with. I've got paint. The first base coat of paint that I'm going to put down on it is NATO green, and then the second coat is probably going to be olive drab. So I'll spray it up and then I'll do the reveal. So as you can see, the green paint's been applied. 2 coats of this olive drab on top of some NATO green. The only reason I did that is because I only had 1 tin of this, really. So here we go. Here's peeling some of the first of the blue tack off to leave us with that tiger stripe finish. which is not bad at all. Let's move along here. So what I'll do is I'll remove the rest off camera, but as you can see, that's actually come out really well. Stay tuned. So in this phase we're going to be putting the rifle back together. You can see here the paint is fully dried, and the first thing that we're going to do is put these little discs back into these holes here. It doesn't matter which one goes where, just pop them in and then rotate them round. I'll have to pop that one out, put that back in just to get it nice and level. And then the same with the other side. That's them both back in. And if you recall earlier on in the video, I said that these were glued in place with quite a rubbish glue. So what I'm going to do is use some Tamiya extra thin cement to glue them back in place. You don't want them falling out. So that's the first step. The second step is this end piece that goes on the end of the rifle stock here, and all that does is literally just push on. So push fit, and then that's that done. This item here is the front sling point. So what we'll do here is undo this. So what you need to do for the first part of this is get this part here and plop that in there like so. Turn it round, keep the pressure on, and then this, be careful because this does pop out. Fits on top, and then you can screw the bolts back in. At the moment I'm just leaving everything virtually finger tight, and then I'll tighten it up when everything's back together. So that's that bit done. The next bit is putting the main metal part of the gun, the barrel and the mechanism, into the stock. And we do that by firstly getting the wire out from the stock that we tucked in, and then connecting those two together, and then carefully feeding everything back through. What we don't want to do is bind anything up. This is quite fiddly with the camera, so bear with me one moment.
A few moments later.
So that was a little bit more fiddlier than I thought. Basically, you need to make sure that this cable, this end, which goes through the stock up to the connector, isn't bound or stuck in any way, because what you want to do is, as you've connected the cable to the motor of the gun, the rifle, sorry, you then want to gently pull this through, which takes all of the available cable back into the stock, which means that this can fit in place. Once that's done, it's just a matter of installing the trigger guard, and all you're doing there is just making sure that the safety catch and the trigger go through the correct holes, and then that's in, and then all you do is just to press that down and click it in place, and that's the rifle mechanism all back in. So that's that process. We move on to the rear of the rifle now, where we want to put the butt plate back in. And as you can see here, you've got a really long screw which connects to the rear sling swivel, and then a shorter screw. So all you do, pop this open, feed the cables through, keep that in place, like so. Make sure that this goes in the right way, like so, and then feed the screw in. And then put both screws in. And as I said before, all I'm going to do at this moment in time is do it finger tight. So that's that done up. So if we then feed this back in, we can close that up, and there's the butt stop all in place. The final thing to do to put the gun back together is put the magazine back in, and as you can see, that's the rifle completely put back together. I will connect the battery up and do a test fire to make sure all the cables are connected in the correct order, and then we'll move on to the scope mount. So battery's all connected up, safety is off. Everything works. So next part of the project, we're going to move on to installing the scope mount. So we're going to be looking at installing the scope mount now on the rifle. First things first, let's orientate the rifle in the right direction, and then move that up there, and we can open the box of goodies to see what we've got here. So we've got the main mount that's kept in place with these elastic bands. That's it. Got a little spanner set and an Allen key, another knob, and the replacement part for the sight mount. So those are the parts. These are the instructions, all in Japanese. And part one is to replace the old mount, which is, you can see here is in English actually, which is good, with the new part. So that's what we'll do. We'll move everything else out the way because we don't want to scratch the finish on the newly painted rifle. And the first thing we're going to do is undo the little grub screw. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. You need to be careful here because this little grub screw, which you can see here, is tiny, and it wouldn't take too much force to damage the head on that, making it virtually impossible to get off or to reinstall. So it's telling you to push it out to the right. Oh, and there we go. That's the old part. And this is the new part, which will slide back in. Like so. And then hopefully everything will line up. So I'm encountering some resistance here with the grub screw. I think what we'll probably do is pop this back out and then check for fit.
A few moments later.
So the issue is that there's already a grub screw in it, which I didn't see. So now we know there's a grub screw already in there, we can put it back together and lock it in place. For my own curiosity, it looks like it's just a friction fit. So this doesn't screw into the body of the mechanism. This literally just is a friction fit to stop it from moving about. So that's now installed. So what we can look at doing now is installing the actual rifle mount. You can see that this is kept in with a little captive washer. What does it say? Tokyo Maori soft airgun use only, US rifle, M14 scope mount base. So we offer that up. And a very loose fit. And there you go. It's attached. One mount installed on the rifle, ready for a scope, which I haven't got yet. Trying to find a scope that's comparable to what was used in Vietnam isn't 100% straightforward, but we'll get there eventually. But that's it. Everything still works. So yeah, one step closer. Thanks for watching.
This is 300, Roger. Okay, what you want to do?